Tonight on the Donlon Report, if we can come together in times of tragedy like the tornadoes in Kentucky, why can't we find common ground on the political issues that divide us? We'll dive into that just ahead. Plus, have Democrats seen the light when it comes to mandates? Possible proof from a top blue state governor. We'll have that. And American taxpayers gave the airlines billions of dollars as a bailout during the pandemic. Are we happy with our investment? Great to have you with us tonight, live from our Chicago studios. The Donlon Report starts right now, if I can ever get over to the seat.
People know about it when you're born, and they care about it when you die.
That was President Biden in Dawson Springs, Kentucky earlier today, surveying the damage caused by the devastating tornado outbreak just a couple of days ago. At least 74 people were killed, more than 100 still unaccounted for. For more on the ground in Mayfield, Kentucky, we start tonight with NewsNation's Rudabeh Shabazi. Rudabeh, we learned late today that tornado was an EF4, so the maximum winds were about 190 miles per hour, which explains a lot of the damage we've been seeing behind you. And I understand there were also some new weather concerns today. What's the latest on that?
Yeah, Joe. Well, first of all, 190 miles per hour. I mean, that explains a lot, right? You think about a human being in that type of wind and what it does to structures, very sturdy structures. And you think about, obviously, what that could have done and the lives it did indeed take. As for tonight, the winds are picking up a little bit. It's starting to get a little bit gusty. They're expected to be about 35 miles per hour tonight. And that doesn't sound like anything dramatic, but when you look at these debris piles and you see the dust and inhale it, it can be pretty burdensome, especially because people are out right now trying to clean up. It's been sunny today. They've been trying to use this time ahead of rain tomorrow. It's supposed to have thunderstorms tomorrow and the next day. And so 35-mile-per-hour winds means you can't be up on a roof on an unstable structure, putting a tarp up, for example, or trying to bring your belongings out before they get waterlogged.
Rudabeh, I'm wondering about the number of people still unaccounted for. You and I talked about it a bit yesterday, but it's more than 100. And I keep hoping that maybe they'll make some progress on that as far as connecting with people who may have left for safety. Maybe their cell phones weren't working. What's the latest on these folks who are still missing?
The number remains the same today, Joe. So that could be good news or bad news, depending on how you look at it, right? They could be people who just can't be reached. But the good news is that no other deceased people have been found. There are still 8 people just alone at that candle factory missing. That is a big concern because we know what happened there. 8 people did lose their lives there. So that will be the place to watch. And hopefully people will start reporting in with good news.
Right. Okay, Rudabeh Shabazi, thank you. Live on the ground in Mayfield with the latest for us. That starts us off. We have actually a couple of incredible stories later on this hour from Kentucky as well. One from a couple who were huddled in their bathtub until the storm was over and then realized the bathtub was the only thing left from their house. Also, the group Mercy Chefs has been on the ground from the beginning, making meals for the newly homeless all day long. So how long do they expect to be there? And what kind of person does this to run right to where the help is needed despite how horrible the situation is? We'll ask them about that just ahead. And that brings us to our Pulse of America tonight. We like to say on this show that there's more that unites us than divides us. And the response from volunteers in Kentucky is certainly proof of that. But our political divide remains massive. And perhaps there is no bridging that gap. There's a new study from Cornell University that finds political polarization in America is reaching a, quote, irreversible tipping point. The lead author is saying common threats no longer unite us, like COVID, for example, or the vaccine. Instead, they become yet another polarizing issue, which is why 56% of voters in this week's NewsNation poll say the country is on the wrong track. Respondents cite things like the pandemic, crime, and the economy, all issues that we can't seem to agree on a cause or a solution for, and thus further division. Take a look at this. Half of Americans in the latest Axios poll say it should be illegal for companies to deny service or employment to someone who is unvaccinated. So split right down the middle, although that stat may be a little bit of a light at the end of the tunnel because Democrats are perhaps seeing that light. At a meeting of the Democratic Governors Association, New Jersey's Phil Murphy acknowledged His close call in last month's election was probably because a lot of people are frustrated. And he went on to say voters feel like the government is not connecting with them. They're sick of masks and being told what to do in terms of vaccines. That from a governor who was praised for his handling of the pandemic early on. Joining us now for more on all of this, Julia Manchester from The Hill and Max Burns from the Daily Beast, a couple of regulars. Good to see you both again. Julia, let's start with you. Are Democrats and the public seeing the light on these mandates? I mean, courts are throwing them out now. Where are we on it?
Well, I think, Joe, you're seeing a number of Democratic governors really start to step back from these mandates, especially a lot of Democratic governors that are facing tough elections in 2022, mainly Gretchen Whitmer in Michigan and Laura Kelly in Kansas. Both of these governors have taken softer stances on vaccine mandates, stepping away from the issue, not going as far as the Biden administration on this issue. I think what you're seeing right now is that Americans are fatigued by the coronavirus pandemic. And even as we're seeing more headlines that could cause some concern over the Omicron variant, I think what you're seeing is Americans want to move on. They want to reopen fully. They want to get back to life the way it was pre-pandemic, essentially. So what you're seeing now is Democrats really trying to adapt their messaging in order to connect with those voters.
That's a great point, Max, for you. And it's a good jumping off point for you to start, because I was wondering just that. New York and California, meantime, have gone back to indoor mask mandates. No one's really, it seems, enforcing these things. And it seems like people are just at the point where they have moved on and they're going to do what they're going to do, either get the shot, wear a mask, or not.
Yeah, and in New York, as a New Yorker, we saw the brunt of this in the first wave. And a lot of New Yorkers have higher than average compliance because they don't want to go back to those days when corpse trucks were driving down the street twice a day. But at the same time, there is measurable vaccine and COVID fatigue. Compliance is starting to drift. And what's missing is sort of clear federal messaging. No one knows what the rules are in New York anymore. Businesses are hesitant to enforce something that may change quickly. This federal government has missed an opportunity here to really set clear standards that everyone can follow.
Let's talk, Julia, about this new study we mentioned from Cornell. And this caught my eye, where they said that no issue imaginable, if we get to a tipping point, no issue imaginable can unite us. Even an attack by a foreign power or another pandemic would heal the political divide, according to this study. Do you think we're close, Julia, to that tipping point? You cover a lot of politics.
You know, I have to say it does feel like we're at least getting closer to that tipping point. You know, I remember back in March of 2020, during the first few weeks of the, pandemic, and in the United States, I should say, we did see some unification. I actually remember, for example, listening to New York Governor Andrew Cuomo on Sean Hannity's radio show at the beginning of the pandemic, and it was what seemed like a fruitful and very kind conversation between the two men. That seems like eons ago. You were not seeing that kind of, camaraderie, I should say, between either side right now during the pandemic. And I think especially ever since the January 6th attack on the Capitol, we have seen divisions even deepen. And we're going into an election year that's going to be, I think, very bruising coming out of the pandemic. So it's hard for me to see how we become united. I hope we do, but it's hard to see that.
Max, I want to get you on this new survey from NewsNation, where we talked about the number of people who felt like the country was headed in the wrong direction. And it made me think, which is why you're perfect for this, about when the last time was people thought we were heading in the right direction. And what did I find? An article from the Daily Beast from your colleague, Dean Obeidallah, who says basically we haven't been happy with the direction since 1972, essentially. I mean, the last time we was, oddly enough, 9/11. 72% at that point thought we were on the right track, but just 7 months later, that was down to 40%. This sort of goes to where we are as a country. We love it, but we do love to complain about it, too.
Yeah, and there was this sort of 9/11 moment at the beginning of COVID when there were bipartisan opportunities to take this seriously that were squandered. And the reality is this is a challenge for Democrats, because if you take a random survey of Americans, those who didn't have jobs during COVID likely have a job now. And if they did have a job, they either have a better one or they're getting a raise. But they still feel that the economy is bad, that the country is going on the wrong track. And that's a real psychological argument where Democrats have just not been active in that conversation.
Great point. Max Burns from the Daily Beast and our friend from The Hill, our partners, Julia Manchester. Again, great to have two regulars to start us off tonight. Appreciate the time.
Thanks.
Thank you.
We're going to shift gears a bit here now to the Omicron variant. There's been a great deal of confusion as to just how serious it is and how concerned we should really be. Joining me now for more on that, a little bit of clarity, hopefully, is Dr. Omar Hamada. Doctor, let's start with that reality check. I don't think people really at this point know what to think anymore. And as I said a minute ago, those who want the shot have gotten it, and those who don't want the shot don't care.
Exactly. And, there's so much divergence of opinion that it's really hard to know what to believe. When this all first started probably 18 months ago, almost 2 years now, there was so much fear because we didn't know what we didn't know. And that was justifiable. But as we've gained experience and as we've seen this thing play out with the vaccinations, masks, isolation, et cetera, at this point, I think it's actually dying down. I think this Omicron variant, though it's more transmissible and though it's more infectious, it's much less severe in terms of the disease it's causing. The South Africans are telling us that it's nothing more than a common cold, essentially. So at this point, this could be the answer to end the pandemic through natural immunity for those who have chosen not to get vaccinated.
Yeah, in the UK, they're saying similar things, like maybe it's the same as a bad flu, and they're always usually a few weeks ahead of us. So what they're experiencing now is what we could be experiencing around Christmas or in January. But if that's the case, if we're looking at this as a cold or a bad flu, is it a sign that most of us are now vaccinated, and the chances are, if you are, you're going to be okay?
Well, actually, the vaccine isn't that effective against the Omicron variant. What we're seeing is about a 30% efficacy rate. If you remember, the Omicron variant had over 30, almost 36, almost 36 mutations in those core proteins. And the vaccine initially was only formulated, and still is only formulated, against that S protein. There are 4 membrane proteins, structural proteins, that act as antigens. The S protein is only one of them, but there's a membrane protein, an envelope protein, a nucleocapsid protein, et cetera. And the vaccinations don't address those. The natural immunity does. So natural immunity, I think, is much wider spread, lasts a lot longer, and is stronger.
We have talked about that a lot on the program, Doctor. I'm wondering, though, Dr. Fauci, I know, has said that he didn't think that the Omicron was going to need a new vaccine just because of that variant. And I had heard that the booster itself did provide significant coverage on the Omicron variant. Is that true?
I don't think it does. I mean, it was really formulated against that wild-type coronavirus that initially came out. And with all the mutations, almost 36 mutations, the Omicron variant, a lot of it's falling through. And what we're seeing now is about a 30% efficacy from the vaccine. And the booster is just really the vaccine. It's nothing different than the original Pfizer or Moderna or J&J vaccine.
Well, it's the best we have at this point, because those of us who've gotten it feel like there's really not much more we can do. So we move on. And I would quote my friend Robbie Suave, we've had on the program as well, from Reason Magazine, who said he thinks everyone's going to get it. You're either vaccinated or you're going to wish you were. Doctor, it's great to see you. Thank you for your insight. Appreciate the time.
Thanks a lot. My pleasure.
A lot of issues with flying these days. Unruly passengers, delays, staff shortages, cancellations. Have taxpayers gotten their money's worth from the billions they gave the airlines during the pandemic? We'll ask a top tax crusader. Our friend joins us next. Speaking of taxes, Elon Musk and Elizabeth Warren in a Twitter fight over how much the billionaire pays in taxes. You're going to want to see how he responded to that tweet. We'll break it down. What exactly does he pay anyway? Don't forget, you can follow us on social media at the Donlon Report on Twitter. Back after this.
I'm just telling you, for passengers in our country, they want fairness. They want to know that they are going to be treated in a way which is respectful. $30 for one bag, $40 for a second, $150 for a third. Does it really cost $150 to put a bag on a plane? That's a rhetorical question, because obviously the answer is no.
Senator Edward Markey unleashing on airline CEOs who were testifying before Congress today. Their airlines receiving billions in taxpayer dollars during the pandemic to stay in business. So we have a question for you here. Here we go. How about you give me $100, and in return, I will kindly give you back 70 cents. Not in interest, total. It's less than a penny on the dollar. Well, Like it or not, that's what the U.S. is getting at this point, according to the Washington Post and its pandemic investment in airlines. For $37 billion, the government getting back right now $260 million. That's at the current stock price anyway. So the question tonight, did we get a good deal? Let's ask Grover Norquist. He's all about good deals and saving money, president of Americans for Tax Reform. That's the question, Grover. Did we get our money's worth on this?
Well, the confusion comes from when Bill Clinton refers to government spending years ago as an investment, because that sounded better than spending.
Okay.
But when the government came in and shut down the airlines and said you can't fly, they bankrupted the airlines. But they didn't want to lose all the votes of the unionized airline workers, so they gave money to pay their salaries, even though they weren't flying planes.
Right.
So when the government steps in and takes part of your farm and runs a highway through it, they have to pay you for what they took from you. And what happened here is the government had a takings. They shut down your business. They cost you billions and billions of dollars.
At no fault of the businesses, right? We should point out.
Pardon?
At no fault of the businesses, we should point out, right?
Screw up. I mean, if you're losing because you can't compete with the rest of the world or you can't compete with the guys down the street, that's your own tough luck. No bailout for you. But if the government comes in and shuts you down and all of your workers are out of work, what they did was they said, okay, because of COVID, we're going to shut you down. We're going to shut down small businesses, all sorts of restaurants. And the PPP will give money to the workers, to you, but only if you pay the workers with it, to keep people paid. That's not an investment in the company or in the restaurant or the airlines. That's just spending because the government shut it down. And it's not fair for the senator to say, we invested this money. And no, you didn't. You shut us down. You paid our workers as a pass-through. And now where are we? The airlines are back on their feet now, which is good. Did they need to be shut down? Not clear.
Yeah, well, what was the alternative, though, Grover? I mean, and to your point, the investment comes in the fact that the taxpayers get this stock price back, which at this point hasn't paid off. I guess some thought maybe we should have got some ownership in some of these airlines as well. But the alternative is you have, what, 750,000 people in the airline industry out of work.
And that's what they were trying to avoid. You could have avoided it by perhaps not shutting down so much. Airlines actually circulate the air much more rapidly than anybody else does. You're safer on a plane than most other places. So that may not have been necessary at all, but they thought it was. They made the decision, and the government decided that we would pay for their decision to pay the airline workers. But they didn't. I wouldn't want the government, every time they created a crisis, to say, we'll bail you out. And by the way, our bailout, we're buying your stock with it. So at the end of the day, we now are East Germany and will own all the companies in the country.
All right, I don't know if you've heard about this Twitter spat, Grover, but I wanted to get you on this between Senator Elizabeth Warren and Elon Musk. Warren basically says, let's change the rigged tax code so the person of the year will actually pay taxes and stop freeloading off of everyone else. And Musk poked back, calling her Senator Karen. He said, you remind me of when I was a kid, my friend's angry mom would just yell at everyone for no reason. I mean, he's eccentric, but he has a sense of humor, Grover. Fortune magazine, let's get down to what the reality is here. In 2018, he paid nothing, I guess, and he hasn't paid much recently, but he just sold a bunch of stock and could pay, as I understand it, up to $15 billion in taxes for 21.
Yeah. Well, what Senator Warren was doing, completely dishonestly, because she actually has a degree, she studies economics and business. The difference between your stock prices, your 401k going up, or the stock in the company you own, and actually having income. Well, Musk has been investing in all of these different companies, and the reason why he wasn't paying much in taxes in 2018 was he wasn't taking any money out of the company. Mm-hmm. It was all staying inside the company and growing and creating jobs and wealth for not just himself, but for a lot of other people who work in these zones. When he then takes the money out by selling stock, he pays income taxes because then he has income. Elizabeth Warren knows the difference. It's as if when the value of your house goes up, Elizabeth Warren says, you're a tax cheat. Your house is worth $10,000 more this year than last year, and you paid no taxes at all, you tax cheat. That's what she's saying to Musk, who just has a very large house he's built. But when you sell your house, you pay the tax. Elizabeth Warren knows that. The reason she got clobbered in this exchange was she started taking a cheap shot and forgot that Musk is not like some of the other CEOs who are terrified that somebody will call them a name. He punches back when somebody smears him. She smeared him. She lied about him, said he wasn't paying taxes. That was not true.
Well, Warren does, at least in the tweet, suggest, Grover, that changing the tax code would be a good idea, which I think you and I both agreed on the last time you and I talked. And we also both agreed on the fact that it's never going to happen.
Oh, we'll get some changes, but Elizabeth Warren wants the changes to be higher taxes. I would like the changes to be lower taxes. And she wants an unconstitutional tax, a tax on wealth, which the Constitution does not allow. She wants to go amend the Constitution. She can, but wandering around claiming that increases in the value of your home are income, which they're not. It's a value in, it's increase in your wealth. But until you sell it, it ain't income. Try and buy something.
Speaking of Elon Musk, Grover, as we know, he was just selected as Time's Person of the Year. So we have Grover's Person of the Year here. We mocked this up for you. Is it possible that Senator Joe Manchin would be your Person of the Year based on his pushback on the Build Back Better plan?
There are 50 Democrats in the U.S. Senate and 218 plus Democrats in the House. He is the only person who has stood up to the bullying of the White House and all their power to organize labor, to the Democratic Party structure, to Schumer, to Pelosi, and said, could we look at what you're doing and why you're doing it? Did you notice the inflation and this word you keep using about transitory? I don't think it means what you think it means. Does transitory mean getting worse? Because the inflation is getting worse. Why do you keep calling it transitory? The pressure he has been under is amazing. Now, it helps a little bit that Biden, who's been spitting at him, has a popularity rating of 29% in West Virginia, the state where Manchin gets elected. Biden can't scare him.
Well, I guess we'll see, because he was hoping to get this thing passed by Christmas. That does not seem possible. But I remember, Grover, when the Build Back Better plan was $4 trillion, maybe even $5 trillion. Do you?
Well, the Build Back Better program in a full 10-year period, if you don't pretend that it's going to end, it is about a $5 trillion program. What Manchin has said is he'll only do 1.5, 1.7. They came back with a make-believe 1.7 that's really the same as $5 trillion. And he says, you're not fooling me with this. So right now, the word on D.C. is that it won't come back until January, February, March, till March.
Wow.
And by then, all of these things will be out for people to look at. And when people look at the spending, I mean, they're going to increase the cost of daycare because they're going to require that you have a college degree. You know, your aunt can't do daycare anymore. Your sister can't do it. It's got to have a college degree and probably have to pay union dues. That's going to raise the cost for most people for daycare. That's a government service. Where'd that come from?
Right. Well, yeah, so it sounds like it's been pushed off, too, because from what I just saw recently, the talks between the two Joes didn't go well and kind of soured. Grover Norquist, president of Americans for Tax Reform. It's good to see you again, Grover. Take care.
Good to be with you.
We are still hearing amazing stories of survival from Kentucky. Up next, a couple who hid in their bathtub and lived to tell about it. When the storm was over, all that was left in that house was that bathtub they were hiding in. Also, what does it take to respond to tragedy the way so many like this man do? Gary LeBlanc from Mercy Corps does time and time again. He and his team have been cooking nonstop since they got there. We'll talk to him about what he's got cooking in Kentucky when we get back. Been now more than 4 days since the Heartland was rocked by a series of destructive tornadoes. At least 74 killed, 12 of them were children. Now communities throughout Kentucky, Arkansas, and Illinois are coming together to heal and search for the more than 100 people who are, again, still unaccounted for tonight. Mercy Chefs is working around the clock to feed the newly homeless. Joining me now for more on this, the CEO and founder of Mercy Chefs, Gary LeBlanc. Gary, I know it's dinner time, so I'm sure you're busy. I appreciate you taking a minute to talk with us. Give us an idea of how this works for your organization, where you decide to go, how many people you take with you.
Well, we're an immediate response organization. We were actually doing Christmas outreach in Waverly, Tennessee, Saturday morning, and came directly from there to Mayfield. We were on site within 12 hours and immediately began serving hot meals Saturday night. We have teams across the country from California to Virginia, Texas, Oklahoma, Alabama, and Georgia. So we're pre-positioned to respond very rapidly to natural disasters.
How does it work? I'm curious. You have no power. You have no water. I saw one of your vans there. How do you get the food there? How do you keep it refrigerated? This is fascinating to me.
Well, you know, you expect just to be a chef and just cook, but it's a logistics operation beyond understanding. All of our mobile kitchens, all 7 of them, are built with onboard quiet run diesel generators. We have our own water filtration system, so we can be very independent on site. And then from the logistics standpoint of bringing in the groceries, I mean, our groceries come in tractor trailer trucks. So we go through a lot of that, but we have to make our own arrangements for fuel and lodging our staff and for all the other things it takes. I mean, it really is a large catering operation that drops in and then does amazing food.
Yeah, we can see the smiles on the faces, and I want to ask you about that in a minute. But in the meantime, I'm wondering, how do people find out where you are? How do they know, that you're in business there and you're feeding people? And how many people have you fed so far?
We've fed about 6,000 people so far. We're feeding between 2,500 and 3,500 meals a day.
Wow.
Those are all hot, chef-prepared, handcrafted meals. And we work through local organizations, local churches, local housing authorities. We're feeding in the shelters. We're sending food out to remote locations. So we're not serving just in Mayfield, but we're getting hot meals out into the surrounding communities.
I'm wondering, Gary, when you roll into a town like that and you see what's left, especially in Mayfield, first of all, you've been on a lot of these things. What was it like when you drove in there and you saw what was left?
The initial impressions pulling in, I had images of Moore, Oklahoma, and Joplin and Tuscaloosa. The damage here is so much worse than you would expect. You can look in any direction from some places and not see anything but destruction.
Yeah, on that note, what do you hear from people, Gary, when you're there and you're serving these meals? I would imagine that in some ways you and your workers must feel a bit like therapists.
Well, we do quite often. I mean, we always say that something amazing happens over a shared meal. So we get to come do it with folks that have just had the worst day in their lives. We handed a meal to a man the other night through the window of his car, and he was just surprised that it was hot and so beautiful. And one of our team members asked him, said, "So what are your plans for Christmas?" And the man burst into tears. It turned out he had lost someone in his family to the storm. He had lost his house. He was sleeping in the car in the driveway just to protect what was left. And he said, "I haven't thought about Christmas until this very moment."
Boy, that's a powerful story. I mean, it takes a lot of fortitude and big heart to do what you do, Gary, but I would imagine a story like that makes it all worthwhile.
Well, it really does. I mean, there have been so many like that. I mean, the young boy that told us about hiding his sister, and then he got caught in the hallway. Or we had somebody from one of the senior care facilities get on his motorized wheelchair and motored up the side of the road for about half a mile to get to us. Of course, we adopted that, and we're taking meals to them all the time now. But folks really do find some comfort and some joy in a hot meal. And that's what we're here to do, is just to provide a little normacy and help them know that there is hope and that there will be a better time.
How long will you stay, Gary?
We're going to stay as long as it takes. You know, we thought we'd break here and get our team home for Christmas, but I've had team members come to me and say, "You know, Gary, my family at home will understand, but I've made family here in Mayfield. I'm not going home. We're going to cook right through Christmas."
All right, Gary LeBlanc, man, it's great to hear from you. I just am so impressed with what you're doing, and I know it means a lot to you, and it means a lot more to those folks you're helping there in Mayfield and beyond. Man, happy holidays to you. Happy New Year. Thanks for joining us, and safe travels, my friend.
Thank you so very much for having us on.
And there's a link you can go to if you want to help those impacted by the Midwest tornadoes. That was Gary LeBlanc from Mercy Chefs as well if you'd like to learn more about the work they're doing. Meantime, we are partnering with the American Red Cross to raise disaster relief funds for those impacted by these storms. If you'd like to make a donation, go to newsnationnow.com/help. Even as little as $10, we'll take it happily and pass it along to help those in need. Speaking of which, the couple we had hoped to get a hold of are having some trouble checking in with us. The Wilsons, they survived by hiding out and huddling together in their bathtub, and that bathtub was the only thing that made it out in the end. They are trying to pull over now and dial in on a Zoom connection, so we'll see. We'll continue to try to connect with them, but it sounds like that's not going to happen. Anyway, we wish them the best as well. Meantime, retailers are fighting back. Coming up next, how they're trying to prevent smash and grab robberies. It's one of America's fanciest and most famous shopping streets, and we'll tell you how that's happening. We'll go live to California with that. Plus, why would anyone want to open a business these days between crime, COVID, worker shortages? What's the upside of opening a store? Tens of thousands, in fact, hundreds of thousands of people are doing just that. We'll talk about it ahead. Holidays on alert now as smash and grabs sweep the nation. Retailers now beefing up security on their own. NewsNation's Nancy Liu joins us live from Rodeo Drive in Beverly Hills, California, where retailers are trying to stop the smashing and the grabbing. Hi, Nancy.
Hi there, Joe. Definitely a different feel here on Rodeo Drive. Hard to miss all the heightened security. There are guards at a lot of these stores right at the front door. And some of these boutiques are appointment only. Now, the smash and grab frenzy has plagued high and low end stores, big and small, everywhere. And security measures are evolving to fight it. A Southern California vendor, which sells this slinky-like barrier known as tangle tape, says all kinds of agencies are calling for it. However, tangle tape has been out of stock due to supply chain delays, and 80% of a shipment arriving soon is already pre-sold. The Home Depot, it's fighting back with a new tactic since so many criminals have run off with expensive power tools. They're testing point-of-sale activation. That's using Bluetooth technology, so items will not work until they've been purchased at the register. Now, among shoppers here on Rodeo Drive, I can tell you we are seeing less flash, less bling, and one man told me he purposely does not wear his expensive watch when he's out here because of all the crime. Joe?
You and I spent some time in Chicago working together here, so I know you're familiar with the Mag Mile. Michigan Avenue has had its share, along with the Gold Coast, which is an area similar to Rodeo Drive there. Those stores have been targeted a number of times. Have the stores there on Rodeo Drive been hit?
Yes, they have a lot in the past. However, in recent months, we have seen this really stepped up security, the guards, a lot more barriers, especially at night, and Beverly Hills police definitely on it. We see foot patrols. I mean, not here now, but we do see them passing often, patrolling up and down the streets. They've got cameras on both ends of Rodeo. So yes, very much a different feel, very tight security.
Well, it sure looks beautiful and festive behind you. Nancy Liu, it's always good to see you. Take care. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Those businesses on Rodeo Drive keeping the open for business sign up despite the challenges. But these days, the question we were wondering, who would hang an open for business sign for the first time right now, considering all that's going on? Let's ask Charles Mizrahi, author of Wall Street Profits from Main Street Investors. So that's the question to you. Between the smash and grabs, the COVID, the cutbacks, worker shortages, all that these business folks are facing, why would they want to open a business in the face of all of that?
Because business is strong, Jim. It's basically at the consumer's back. The consumer has been spending, and retail has been extremely strong. And people are now realizing that you have to have stores to sell goods. So that's what we're seeing.
Yeah, the last we saw, there were somewhere around, I think, 500,000 new business startups during the pandemic. So a lot of folks are doing this, but are these storefronts or are these folks who are sort of hanging their own shingle and doing their own thing from home?
A combination of everything. Retail is pretty strong from what we're seeing here. And in fact, Brookfield is one company that I follow. They have a big real estate portfolio, especially in retail. And just, I think it was a few days ago, Bruce Flatt, the president and chairman, was talking about how retail is strong. And they're seeing it across all sectors on their end. So a lot of people are. That's really it.
Yeah, so let's talk about inflation and increasing prices, because we know that's undeniable. Prices are up, inflation's a big deal. Prices for certain are impacting folks across the country, especially everything from groceries to gas and everything else. We can't deny it, yet we keep spending. So we're wondering how we reconcile this. What does it mean?
Well, we reconcile as long as consumer confidence is up and people continue to spend and they feel confident about the future. When that ends, I don't think anyone has an idea. It could be when the Fed raises rates. It could be some unforeseen event. No one really knows. But the economy has been strong throughout COVID and throughout this year, and demand continues to increase. The problem has been supply. So that's why you're having inflation. But it'll take time for that to work through the system where supply and demand go back into balance.
Sales up 0.8%. Does that mean that, Charles, prices are up, or does it mean we're spending more? I mean, we were wondering today, are people just spending regardless, even if they might not have it because we've been locked down? And also perhaps people have saved more as a result of being locked down and not going out as much.
Well, you bring up a couple of great points. Savings, yeah. There was a couple of months ago close to $2 trillion in savings. That is a huge amount of money that people during COVID weren't spending. But we're seeing now that that's come down to pre-pandemic levels, so people have been spending. Now, is that 0.8%? What is it? Is it just price increases? Are people buying more? Well, everyone I'm speaking to that sells to the big box stores and the big chains are telling me that orders continue to come in, even at higher prices, even at 10 and 50% jumps because of shortages and because of problems of getting goods and availability. The retailers are spending it because consumers are buying it. So one data point of 0.8 just for 1 month in retail doesn't mean anything. If you start seeing a trend of lower sales, then we know there's a problem. But so far, that's not what we're seeing.
Right. I know you said you don't have a crystal ball. No one does. But if you had to guess, how long does this take before things start to clear out and improve?
I think it's look, we're closer to the end than the beginning, and consumers are I'm getting used to higher prices. When I go to a restaurant, what was basically $50 for a dinner, I'm in New York, so there's a lot more money here. So what was $50 or $60 for a dinner is now $75 and $80, and I'm grumpy about it, but I'm spending it. So the consumer is back, and the consumer is spending. What's that tipping point? It's really a guess, because the economy, our economy especially, there are so many moving parts, and trying to guess is really, it's just a crapshoot.
Right. We trudge on. Charles Mizrahi, investor and author of Wall Street Profits for Main Street Investors. Good to see you, Charles. Thanks for the time.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks.
On Balance with Leland Vitters starts at the top of the hour. He is writing furiously over here. What do you have?
Oh, those were just doodles.
Busy, huh?
Busy doodling. No, we're talking actually about these 1,500 pages of documents that have come out about the JFK assassination. This is part of President Biden's campaign promise on declassifying JFK documents, 9/11 documents. On the JFK documents, we're learning that Oswald actually did meet with the KGB before the assassination.
Wow. The grassy knoll, any update on that?
No, there's still the grassy knoll.
Right.
So we're still worried about it. But it goes to this issue here about who knew what when. And as always, it appears as though there were crumbs out there. Now, whether or not they were meaningful or not. But for example, there was a tip-off, we're now learning, to the U.S. Embassy in Australia saying that the Soviets were going to have President Kennedy assassinated. Now, whether or not that is meaningful or not, we don't know, but it was never passed to the CIA. In the same way it was all, school shootings, all these other kinds of situations, there were these tip-offs, but nobody ever followed up on them. So interesting stuff there. The guy we have, Mark Zaid, who is a national security attorney, he actually represented a number of the Secret Service agents who were in Dallas that day as their lawyer. So he's been investigating this case from the very beginning.
Wow. So you talk about the things that remain unknown. That won't change with any of the documents that were released.
No, there's still all of these unknowns, and there's still a lot of these documents that are classified, which brings up this question. JFK was shot in November of '63. I'm not good at math, but that's almost 60 years ago, 58 years ago. The question is, why would something still need to be classified if there's not something there, right? If everything happened the way the government tells us, why bother continuing this to be classified 60 years later?
Well, that's the same question that was asked about 9/11. If there's nothing to hide, why not release it?
If there's nothing in those 23 pages about the Saudis, why do they need to be held so closely? And we're going to ask Zaid about that, the connection here between Biden's promises to declassify the JFK documents and his promises to declassify the Saudi 9/11 documents. You did a lot of work on that back right around the 9/11 anniversary, and there's so many families who are still fighting for that.
Yeah. Meantime, if you're in Dallas, the Texas Book Depository, the museum there is a must-see.
You know, it's funny you said that. I was on radio earlier talking about this story, because who doesn't want to talk about JFK? And the host there said the very same thing. I've never been to it, but it sounds like it's really an incredible way to look down on history.
Right, it is, for sure. All right, Leland, we'll see you at the top of the hour. Appreciate it. It's called On Balance. Quick reminder for you, if you want to donate to those, again, in Kentucky, following the devastating tornadoes, we can scan the QR code that's on your screen right now, download the app, and you'll find the link to support the Red Cross right on the home screen. You can also go to our website as well, newsnationnow.com. History in the nation's biggest city. We're going to tell you about the first ever female police commissioner in New York. And that's our snapshot ahead. Yesterday was the anniversary of one of the world's most famous shoe throws ever. December 14th, 2008. Then President Bush was at a news conference with the Iraqi prime minister when journalist Muntadhar al-Zaidi threw not one, but both of his shoes at the president. It's considered the ultimate insult in many cultures. Bush was set to leave office just 5 weeks later following the inauguration of his successor, President Obama. But the Iraqi journalist decided to give him an early send-off. Message received and maybe sent by the president about his impressive reflexes. So that's a look back 13 years ago. Tonight's American Snapshot is something that's happening right now in the Big Apple, an historic first for the New York Police Department. NYC will become Keishant Sewell as their next NYPD commissioner. She will be the first woman to lead the department. Sewell currently serves as the chief of detectives for Nassau County PD on Long Island. She has been there for 22 years. Sewell, along with Mayor-elect Eric Adams, will start the job January 1st. Congratulations and Happy New Year to NYPD's first female commissioner. And that is tonight's American Snapshot. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night. On Balance is next with Leland Vitter. Thank you for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.